How long do you think you could survive on the surface of Mars without a spacesuit? 10 minutes? A minute? Maybe a few desperate seconds? Most people think of Mars as a second Earth, a backup drive for humanity in case our world fails. We see the posters of astronauts trekking across red dunes and we think, yeah, it's just a bit colder and a bit dustier, but we can handle it. But have you ever truly asked yourself, what is the actual, minute-by-minute cost of living on a planet that effectively hates your biology? Forget the Elon Musk tweets for a moment. Forget the Hollywood blockbusters. If we landed there today, would we be conquering a new frontier, or would we simply be stepping into the most high-tech prison ever built? Tonight, we aren't talking about the dream of Mars. We are talking about the cold, hard, suffocating reality. When we look at Mars through a telescope, we see that iconic ochre hue. We've been taught since primary school that it's the red planet. But if you were actually standing on the surface, you'd realize that red is a marketing lie. It's more of a dull, toxic butterscotch. That color isn't a sign of warmth or fire. It's the color of a planet that has been left out in the rain for 1 billion years and then dried into a husk. On Earth, we use iron to build skyscrapers and bridges because our planet is alive, with oxygen and liquid water that we can control. On Mars, the iron didn't build anything. It just sat there, reacting with a vanishing atmosphere until the entire globe literally tarnished. Think about that. The entire planet is covered in a layer of dust as fine as talcum powder, and every single grain is a tiny shard of oxidized iron. It's not a flaw, it's a global chemical reaction that finished a long time ago. When you walk on Mars, you aren't walking on soil. You're walking on the debris of a planetary scale breakdown. It wasn't always this way. This is the part that breaks the heart of every astronomer. 3 billion years ago, if you were looking at our solar system from the outside, you might have had a hard time telling Earth and Mars apart. Mars had a thick, insulating blanket of air. It had rivers that carved canyons deeper than the Grand Canyon. It had northern oceans that likely held more water than the Arctic Ocean. So, what happened? Why did Earth stay a garden while Mars turned into a tomb? The answer lies beneath the surface. Mars is smaller than Earth. It's about half the size. Because of that, its internal engine, its molten core, cooled down much faster than ours. Imagine a hot cup of coffee versus a giant pot of soup. The cup gets cold first. When the Martian core solidified, its magnetic shield died. And without that shield, Mars was naked. The sun didn't just warm Mars, it stripped it. Every second, the solar wind sandblasted the atmosphere into deep space. The oceans didn't just dry up, they boiled into the sky and were carried away by the sun. Mars didn't just lose its habitability. It was surgically dismantled by the stars. Now, let us talk about your new home. If you stepped outside right now, the first thing you'd notice isn't the cold, though at minus 60 degrees Celsius, it would bite through your skin instantly. No, the first thing you'd feel is the pressure. Or rather, the lack of it. The Martian atmosphere is less than 1% as thick as Earth's. This creates a phenomenon called the Armstrong limit. At this pressure, the boiling point of liquid is lower than your body temperature. That means the moisture on your tongue, the fluid in your eyes, and the lining of your lungs would begin to evaporate and boil away the moment you were exposed. You wouldn't just suffocate from a lack of oxygen, your body's internal cooling and hydration systems would literally turn to steam inside you. And then, there's the silence. Sound needs a medium to travel through. Because the air is so thin, sound waves on Mars are lazy. They don't go far. They don't carry high frequencies well. If there was a massive rockslide a kilometer away, you might see it, but you would barely hear a whisper. It's a world of ghosts, where the laws of physics have muted the volume of the universe. You would be more alone there than any human has ever been in history. Even the wind, which can reach hundreds of miles per hour during a storm, wouldn't knock you over. It would feel like a light breeze, because there are so few air molecules to actually push against you. It's a planet that looks like an action movie but feels like a sensory deprivation tank. But let us say you have the best suit money can buy. You're safe, right? Wrong. Mars has two invisible killers that no suit can fully stop. The first is radiation. Without a magnetic field and a thick atmosphere, the surface is constantly bombarded by high-energy particles from deep space. On Earth, we have the equivalent of a thick lead shield above our heads. On Mars, you are standing in a giant, open-air X-ray machine. To survive long-term, we can't build glass domes like in the movies. We'd have to live like moles. We would spend our lives in lava tubes, underground tunnels of frozen rock, hiding from the very sun we traveled so far to be near. Imagine moving to a new planet just to live in a basement for the rest of your life. The second killer is the dust. Martian dust isn't like the dust under your bed. It's electrostatic, meaning it sticks to everything. It's sharp as broken glass because there's no water to smooth the edges of the grains. And it's toxic. It's filled with perchlorates, chemicals that wreck the human thyroid. If you bring just a little bit of that dust back into your habitat on your boots, you are slowly poisoning yourself and everyone inside. But we are already there, aren't we? In a way. Scattered across the dunes are the only true Martians we've ever known. Our robots. Think about opportunity. A rover designed to last 90 days that fought for 15 years. Its last message home was effectively, "My battery is low and it's getting dark." They are still there. Spirit, opportunity, Phoenix, insight. They aren't just heaps of metal, they are the high water marks of our curiosity. They sit in the dark, frozen solid, their solar panels covered in that toxic orange dust, waiting for a human hand to brush them off. They prove that we can reach Mars. But they also prove how hard it is to stay. They are monuments to the fact that on Mars, even the most advanced machines eventually succumb to the sheer, grinding attrition of the environment. Every rover we send is a message in a bottle thrown into a desert that never ends. We talk about terraforming Mars. We talk about melting the ice caps and bringing back the oceans. We talk about it like it's a weekend DIY project. But looking at the sheer hostility of this world, it makes you wonder. Is Mars a destination, or is it a mirror? Are we so obsessed with going there because we want to expand, or because we've forgotten how miraculous it is to breathe air that doesn't boil your blood? If you had a one-way ticket to the Red Planet tomorrow, knowing that you'd spend your days in an underground tunnel, eating lab-grown protein, and never feeling a natural breeze again, would you take it? Is the spirit of exploration worth the loss of everything that makes us biological creatures? Or is the true value of Mars simply to remind us that we already live on the only paradise we will ever know? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you be a pioneer, or are you staying firmly on Team Earth? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the reality of the cosmos, hit that like button. It helps the algorithm know that people still care about the real science behind the sci-fi. And if you want to join us for our next journey to the edge of the known universe, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Until next time, keep looking up. But don't forget to appreciate the ground beneath your feet.